watch the recording. We have some EAMA members who are not able to attend but do want to see the content. So we're going to have this for distribution to them at a later time. So just let everyone know we will be recording. Just a couple of quick ground rules. If everyone can try to mute, that would be great. Just due to the fact that there's a lot of background noise from time to time, whether it be dogs, whether it be garbage men, whether it be whatever. We don't want it to distract from the presenters. The other thing I want to let everyone know is when we are taking a vote, those EAMA members who are voting members, we ask you to utilize the chat function for the vote, so we don't have to figure out the ayes versus the nays and who gave motions and seconded them. So we'll have that data in the chat. It'll just make it easier for accounting purposes.
Take a poll if anybody needs to know where the chat is, if there is a chat. Just make sure.
Okay, so everybody has the chat function available. Does everybody know where it is? If no one does, you could
call our IT guy.
Yeah, call the IT guy, or just put in the chat that you don't know where the chat is. So yeah, so if everybody thumbs up for those that are good with the chat, everybody's good with that? Okay, great. Okay, so again, we're gonna hold the questions until the end, and all our presenters, we're gonna have them present individually, but yet, if you do have questions, we ask you to notate them, and then we'll have a question and answer portion at the end. So I wanna start off the meeting so this is a little abnormal, but we don't have a full quorum of all our membership at this meeting. So what we're asking to do is to change the meeting agenda to the agenda that was sent out to everyone, basically the short version of the agenda. So if you look actually it's up on the screen. Up on the screen here, is it shared? Look at you guys go. Wow, I'm impressed. Okay, so I would like to call for a motion to change to the agenda you see on the screen here. So do I get a motion? And again, you can just put it in the chat. Ray, you want to make a motion? Okay, Ray makes a motion. Okay, you want to put that in the
Meredith did it, and then I'll type in Ray.
Okay, Ray seconds it. All right, there we go.
All right, cool.
Okay, so any discussion? All those in favor in changing the agenda, say aye in the chat.
Aye.
Aye. So put an I for me and an I for, there you go. I probably should have asked if anyone was opposed, and less people would put it in, but that's okay.
It's all about continuous improvement.
That's right. It's all about continuous improvement. Okay, anyone against? All right, the ayes have it. So we will start the meeting with the business meeting per the agenda. So the first topic of business on the agenda is to is to approve the meeting minutes from the 2018-19 annual meeting. So that is on your screen. So again, I'll entertain a motion to accept those minutes as presented.
Ray?
Yep.
Charlie, okay. Ray seconds it. Okay. All those in favor say aye. Yes, Charlie.
Who's doing that?
Charlie. Oh. Any opposed? Okay, so moved. So I'm going to ask Meredith to unmute as she's going to give us the treasurer's report. So Meredith, are you all set?
Sure. So
okay.
The opening balance, it's a little different just because I took it straight from the bank account, but it was $44,269.86. We had inflows or deposits of $93,006.72. I tried to put the major funds that we had received, and you can tell obviously that the grant that we had received is the biggest contributor to that. Our expenses amounted to $74,461.42. And most of this was the outreach and community engagement, as well as the website, which I hope you've all seen. And that left us with an ending balance as of June 30th of $62,815.16.
Great.
Is there anything else that you wanted me to talk about, or questions or anything like that?
Grant. Just explain the grant.
Oh, the grant funding. So essentially, EAMA has been given a grant funding through EWIB. So that's why you see the inflow of cash the way we have. Obviously, it's not from membership fees. So the $79,000 in the grant line item is part of the relationship EWIB has with EAMA to help support the manufacturing pipeline initiative. So that's, for those of you who are wondering what that's all about, that's what that's about. So.
Charlie asked if it's a one-time deal.
No, we have been renewed for a second year. So the grant is not a one-time deal. We are good right now through June of 2021. Any other questions? Do we need a motion on the treasury report?
Probably.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, why not?
Okay, so.
Anything that's on the agenda should be recognized.
Okay. All right, so assuming there's no other questions, I'll entertain a motion to accept the treasurer's report as presented. Charlie?
Yep.
Ray seconds. All those in favor say aye.
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 Might want to touch on this too, or is that on?
Yeah, it's on the agenda.
Okay.
Any opposed? So moved. Great. Okay. So the last item on the agenda for the business meeting portion of this discussion is closing the business meeting. So that being said, I will entertain a motion to adjourn the business meeting and get into the year in review. Charlie, I love you, buddy.
I miss him.
Shut this puppy down. A second? Ray, second?
Yeah.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
I like this, being able to throw Ray's name in.
Any opposed? All right, so we got through we got through the pomp and circumstance, and now we can get into the real meat of the meeting. So thank you all for humoring us through that portion of the meeting. Right now I'd like to get in a little bit to the year in review. Obviously, it has been a challenging year, to say the least, for just about every business, but I wanted to, again, just kind of talk a little bit about where we have been in the past and where we are going in the future. So first thing I want to discuss, which, do I have that slide? It's a new one? Okay. Is the website upgrade. So if you go to our website, you'll notice we had a dramatic upgrade to our website. We've had huge success with the online payment options, getting member dues paid that way. It's really exceeded our expectations. Our membership actually has grown as a result of this new way of collecting dues. It's just a lot easier. We also have portals where EAMA members are able to work with other members and ask different questions, whether it be quality, whether it be HR. Again, that pod concept, where this website will facilitate that. So we're very happy about that. Really, it was an expense to the organization, but it really, I think, was well worth it in that, we've really brought ourselves up to the 2020s, I'll say. I can't believe I'm saying it, but brought us up to the 2020s. So really, the two people I want to make sure that I acknowledge and recognize for the efforts on that website are Dominique and Kylie. I mean, they both worked closely with A Squared, who was the vendor we chose to really get the data that we needed and get us, where it's at. So bravo to them, great job. And, like I said, we really hope if you haven't had a chance to take a look at it, to go check it out, because I think it's certainly worth the time and worth the effort. And if you are a member who has not paid their dues, is a very easy way to go about doing that. So you're certainly welcome to go try the online payment option in the event you're a member that has not renewed yet. Okay, on to the next one. So past events. So again, this was one event we had just prior to basically COVID shutting all of us down, was a roundtable at WB Mason where we discussed lean practices. That was a great event. I want to say there was 20, 25 people there. It really went well. It gave a lot of good ideas as to how to run not just your business more efficiently, but your vendors more efficiently. And that was a big takeaway that I took from that. So that was something that, again, was a pre-COVID event. Shortly thereafter, obviously, we had COVID hit, which threw all of our businesses for a whirl. And that led us to the roundtable about the COVID-19 best practices. Again, that was another event where we really had an opportunity to talk about the challenges we as individual businesses were having and how we were dealing with those challenges. I know I had 4 or 5 takeaways from that I implemented into my organization, and I'm sure others did as well. The Intro to Plastics Micro Career Fair. I wasn't involved in that one. Ray, do you want to talk about that one?
Yeah, I want to have Kylie talk about it.
Perfect.
So with the new MPI plastics program, we had 7 students go through this, and we met in the MAC Center to really just as employers get the opportunity to interview these students, learn more about the program, and just have great candid conversations.
So that's great. So again, it's all about the outreach. It's all about future employment. We're all dealing with the silver tsunami, and these are all strategies on how to get through that. Another COVID event we had was protecting your organization against COVID. This was more revolving around, different cleaning measures, different ways of taking temperatures, temperature checks, how to, mitigate any risk your organizations might have to avoid a shutdown. Because as we all know, manufacturers throughout this have had to continue to operate. I mean, a lot of businesses can operate from home. Manufacturing is kind of hard to run a piece of equipment from your house. So it's critical that we had people here, and this was an event where we really were able to help learn how to protect our organizations and keep us up and running. The last one we had, which was a great fun event, was a virtual happy hour. So we had this event at 5 o'clock on a Thursday, I think it was. Yeah. And everyone had a drink in their hand, and we just basically were talking about how businesses has been going. Again, more of an update as to how we're all surviving these new challenges. It was about an hour long. Everyone had an opportunity to speak and really kind of give the lay of the land as far as how things were going for businesses. And it was a lot of fun. I think there was more laughing than anything else, which was always a good event. So that's something we were super excited about having, and we're going to be having future events like that. So again, I encourage everyone not to scroll past your EAMA emails when they come through. We've got some great events where you don't have to drive 45 minutes to an hour to attend. You're able to do it remotely from the computer and really still get a lot out of it. So as you see these upcoming events, I really hope you or someone from your organizations will consider participating. The other thing we've been doing in the past year is we've been involved in the Connecticut Manufacturers Collaboration, or the CMC. We've been involved in that for a few years, but recently we've been taking a more active role. And basically, for those of you who don't know, the CMC is a collaboration of all trade organizations in the manufacturing sector in the state of Connecticut. So you have the aerospace in there, you have, again, EAMA is in there, you have New Haven Manufacturers Association. Basically, any organization that's a manufacturing trade organization sits on this group, and we are Colin Cooper, who is our Chief Manufacturing Officer for the state of Connecticut. He's involved heavily. We have Eric and Christy Patina from CBIA, who are also the real good leaders of the group. And we're really accomplishing a lot as a state. And that's the nice thing is, you know, we here at EAMA aren't pulling in one direction when another manufacturing group is pulling in the opposite direction, and we're getting nowhere. We're able to really collaborate together and hopefully pull in the same direction. So that's been going really, really well. We've been very happy with the CMC group. Again, being involved with Colin Cooper through the COVID issues has been great, because he's really been at the forefront in the governor's ear as far as how we deal with manufacturing. It's been super exciting to have him really help us continue to operate. Where the governor could have shut us down as manufacturers, he chose not to because of Colin. So that was a great group to be part of, and I'm happy to continue that involvement. So that's kind of where we've been. A couple of things that we've got coming up, and again, this is something that you guys may want to consider participating in. You know, we have the virtual Halloween party, which we call the PPP party. Obviously, the topic is going to be the payroll protection program. So that's coming up on 10/29. We're encouraging people to dress up if they so choose. I may have I may have a couple of costume changes during my time in the meeting, so I'll throw that out as a teaser. But again, if you're interested in participating in that, we are now delving into our forgiveness package of the PPP program. So that's been a challenge in and of itself. So I'd like to get some information from others as to how they're dealing with the PPP and applying for the forgiveness. So that's an event that I think we're really looking forward to having. Then productivity in the pandemic. Roundtable on that coming up in November, on November 19th. I can't speak for anyone else. I can speak for my business and say that we've really seen a hit on productivity as a result of the pandemic. Whether it be working with masks, whether it be worrying about family members, whatever those stresses may be on the employees, we're certainly seeing a hit in productivity. You know, we really have been, you know, revenue-wise, we're doing the same as we were prior to the pandemic, but from a margin perspective, we're seeing a hit. So we're really seeing a direct correlation with productivity. So that's something where, again, we'd like to get together and kind of get some best ways to increase that productivity in spite of the stresses that everyone's going through. And then we're hoping to have a virtual holiday party. And again, we don't have a date yet on that, but that's something that we're looking forward to having in early part of December, most likely. So that's something that, oh, we got Charlie in here making a comment, sorry. Is there a prize for best costume? Can I make this, okay. So Charlie, if the prize is coming from your organization, then absolutely there's a prize. You know, if Unicorn's willing to pony up the prize, then we're all in. You know, and I don't want a cardboard box. That's the key.
Hey, Chris, all kidding aside, as far as the virtual holiday party, we had an employee retire after 23 years in the middle of this pandemic. And how do you have a loyal employee who never missed a day of work unless she was on vacation, just walk out the door with doing something? And we wanted to have a party for her, and we did something pretty unique. We cleared out a big area in our warehouse, and we took corrugated pizza circles like we have all seen, and we spread them about 7 feet apart and made this huge grid of circles. And we put her in the middle on a good old fashioned game of Twister. And every 4 minutes a whistle blew, and you had to move to a different, circle and talk to different people the whole time. It was kind of like speed dating. And then we had it catered where the caterer was the only one who touched the food. It was heavy hors d'oeuvres. And then we did beer and wine. And we did that early, I'm going to say mid-May, late May, when things were really hot and heavy.
Right in the middle of it.
Yeah, and we were people had to wear masks, but if you were on your dot, you were 6 feet apart or 7 feet apart from a coworker. And what was really nice is a lot of people had been working remotely, and it was the first time a lot of people saw each other in 3 or 4 months.
Yeah.
So I don't know if we could pull that off, but we pulled it off, and it was a ton of fun.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is the warehouse open?
Well, the Holiday Inn got a lot of space.
Yeah, true. Can we
I
put
mean-
pizza boxes in Holiday Inn?
I'll Pinterest it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's just the little round.
I would love to get face to face. I mean,
Yeah.
but I'm a geezer, so.
Yeah.
I just think
That's a great idea, and Charlie, we're definitely going to take that into consideration. I think that is a great idea, and I agree. You know, me being the extrovert that I am, as Ray is, you know, it's definitely, this whole virtual thing is not my cup of tea. So
I'm telling
I
you,
agree.
we had an absolute blast, and she was surprised. We blindfolded her, took her out of the building in a car, went out for ice cream. And when she walked, and she'd never been up on our 3rd floor where our warehouse is. And when she arrived, she walked in and she said, "I'm back at Nutmeg," because she smelled the paper. It hasn't even but she had never been in that area before. And she was just so surprised because everybody had so much fun.
Yeah. You know what? They should make a Yankee Candle back at Nutmeg.
Yeah.
That's a good idea. No, that's a great idea. Yeah, we'll definitely take that into consideration. So stay tuned on that. Again, everybody, you know, don't scroll by the emails that you see, because again, we're not going to inundate you with them all the time, but when we do, they're going to have good data. So we got 2 other exciting announcements. One exciting announcement we have is our own Dr. Kelly Valerace has been promoted actually, she's got a new job in the state of Connecticut. She works for the Connecticut Workforce Unit on the Governor's Workforce Council. Her exact title is slipping my mind, but basically she's the Director of Workforce Development, I believe, for the Governor's Workforce Council. So again, great to have EAMA representation at the state level. That's super exciting. The other exciting news we have is our own Ari Santiago from IT Direct has been named to the Board of Regents for the state of Connecticut. So again, we've got EAMA representation at the community college level, at a leadership position, which again is really, really good that we're getting entrenched into these high-level positions and getting our voice heard. You know, because really that's the whole purpose of this group, is to have our voices collectively be heard. So we're super excited for both Kelly and Ari, and if you want to drop them a note to congratulate them, I'm sure they would love that. Okay, the last thing I just want to update everyone on is one of the things that we are in the process of doing is we're solidifying the final job description for an executive director search. So what we've determined in this past year is that this organization has outgrown the amount of hours that the volunteers have to give. You know, we've all tried hard, but I really feel like we're doing the organization a disservice by not having an executive director level position that's able to spend, you know, 40, 50 hours a week dedicated to the organization. So we're in the process of doing that now. We're hoping to have that solidified by the end of the year, and maybe we can announce that person at the holiday party in the event that we're able to get them.
That's fast.
So Ray thinks that's too fast. I didn't say which holiday party, Ray.
Yeah, there you go. Much better.
But anyway, so that's something else that we're in the process of doing. So we're going to be excited about having someone that can really dedicate full time to EAMA and give the organization the attention it deserves. So that's what I have for the EAMA update. So I thank everyone for listening. I want to get now into the part of the program where you guys understand about some good opportunities for your businesses to get some money and some help and get the support that we need as organizations. So the first person we want to have meet, or we want to first have discuss, is Mark Hill. So Mark was recently named the new president and CEO of the Eastern Connecticut Workforce Investment Board. He previously was the chief operating officer at EWIB. He helped develop the Manufacturing Pipeline Initiative, which was designed to raise the baseline for our labor force's competencies that aligned with skills in demand by manufacturers. Mark sits on the EAMA Board of Directors and shares with us some of the hiring challenges and advantages in the manufacturing arena. Prior to EWIB, Mark held managerial positions at Electric Boat, Pfizer, and Aetna. Mark, welcome. The floor is yours.
Okay, Chris, can you hear me?
I got you. I can hear you. Yep, can't see
Excellent.
you though.
All right, so thanks for having me, everybody. Maybe you can pop up the slides that I have so people can follow along. Perfect. So thanks for having me. Always a great honor to come before EAMA and the employers. EAMA and EWIB have I think it's a unique and great relationship. I mean, on the one hand, we're partners, and we're not only partners, we're partners in the MPI program that Chris mentioned earlier. That program is nationally recognized. It is in the process in the state of being duplicated across the state, but it all began with your input and the partnership that we have. But also, in addition to the partnership, EAMA is a customer of EWIB. So when you ask for things, we listen and we try to adopt to the best we can. And just like the Manufacturing Pipeline Initiative program, it's really the elements are really designed by you, not by EWIB. It's really the employer program. So very happy to be here. And I would share with you again, I mentioned to your board in various meetings that I talked to other workforce boards around the state. There's 5 in total, so 4 peers. And what you've built here in EAMA, you're ahead of the game. You know, I know you may think this, you know, you can improve here or there, that's great, but you're definitely ahead of the game. There's not many parts of the state that have an organization like this that permits manufacturers or any employers to speak with one voice, including their needs of the training system. And so I would just encourage you to keep pushing forward, and whatever EWIB can do to help you grow your membership, we absolutely are committed to do that. So today, the outline I want to discuss with you is just talk at a high level, the pandemic impact on the region. And then I wanted to talk about the progress in the past year our partnership has achieved, and to talk about how we're scaling this program, the MPI, both in high schools. And then our friend Mark Vesligai from Three Rivers is going to be here to talk about the plastics program, which is a new program that's been launched, and I think you'd be interested in that. So why don't we go forward? So next, the next slide, I just wanted to show you kind of the unemployment picture here in Eastern Connecticut. And by Eastern Connecticut, there we go. By Eastern Connecticut, roughly think about the third eastern part of the state. It's 41 towns. It's the region that EWIB from a workforce board works with. So roughly the third eastern part of the state of Connecticut. So you can see this is a graph that a lot of regions in the state, or all the regions in the state, and a lot of regions across the country are dealing with. Due to the pandemic and the ensuing shutdown, there was an incredible spike in unemployment. So in our region, started at 8,272 in March prior to the shutdown, and it spiked, it more than tripled for the next 3-4 months. So again, every region in the state could spin this story, could tell this story. But some good news is the last month or so, we've seen it start to come down to the 18,935 number. But going forward, we just don't know, is that going to keep coming down or is there going to be kind of a zigzag, some hiccups to it? Because I can tell you in the last month, we've come to be aware of 3 employers of sizable number of people in the area, in the region, that are not bringing back people from furlough or laying people off. So we'll just have to monitor this thing going forward. But, you know, the last time we saw this level of unemployment was the Great Recession. And I think all of us were told that was a once in a lifetime kind of situation. Well, it's not once in a lifetime. Here's the second in a lifetime. So this is what we're dealing with as a region. But for responses to this, though, I want to just itemize 2 or 3 ideas and responses that we put in place. From our partnership perspective, we're going to still push forward with the classes that we've discussed with you a year ago, and I'll show you in a second. We have manufacturing classes done through great partners in Quinnipiac Valley and Three Rivers community colleges. We're going to keep pushing through with these, because one thing that this region has that a lot of other regions don't is we expect to have tremendous growth in manufacturing in the second half of this decade, if not sooner. If you look at kind of the electric boat picture in terms of their hiring curve and the new submarines coming online, and that applies to their supply chain, of which many of you might be on this call, the growth is virtually like historic for the past 20, 30 years. So we're going to keep training people in manufacturing, keep the classes rolling, and I got a schedule to show you in a second. The second item that we're doing in response to this crisis is that we are always looking for new trades to train in, and you can tell us what makes the most sense. So when we began the manufacturing pipeline program 4 years ago, we started, let's do a welding class. And then welding became a machining class. Machining became an electrical class and a pipe fitting class, design and drafting, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. In fact, Mark Vesligai is going to be part of this presentation in a few slides. He's going to talk to you about this plastics class that we're ready to let go. We're ready to unleash. So If you have other ideas of other functions we're not trading in, we're all ears. Otherwise, you can take advantage of the trades that we are training in. We also have a planning class that Electric Boat is queued up. Planning in their world, as I understand it, is the group that sits between the design and the construction of the submarine. They order the activities in the sequence of which those need to occur so the submarine can be built. So we've never trained in that before, but now they want to train in that. So that's great news for the people we have that are caught in the pandemic. We can put them into play here. And even on the healthcare side, we don't just do manufacturing EWIB. We have a pharmacy technician class. So we're putting responses and solutions in play in order to deal with this. And any ideas you have is always welcome. And the other idea I want to mention to you, if you go to the next slide, hopefully you've seen this before and you got this flyer. So EWIB, working with EAMA, has put in place a wage reimbursement program that's available from now to the end of the year. There's a ceiling of $9,000, but it's 100% wage reimbursement. If you work with EWIB, we'll source candidates from a manufacturing program. We will reimburse the wages for that through the end of December 31st with a ceiling to that. And there's contact names on there as well. So I think this is a tremendous opportunity. If you were thinking not only hiring in this quarter, but maybe next quarter, even the first quarter of 21, if you want to accelerate that to this year, there's an opportunity for you to reap the benefits of bringing that person in-house. And I think I've been told in the last couple of weeks, 16 hires have been done in manufacturing, taking advantage of this program. So it's available to you. You just got to contact us and the contact names, and we'll work through that. But it's another thing that we put in place 10 years ago when the Great Recession happened. It's a way to energize the job market, and it's a program available to you. So next, I just want to talk about the progress in the past year. But before I do that, I'm always a little bit, when I get in calls like this, I got to be sensitive to the fact that some people might not have heard of the Manufacturing Pipeline Initiative program. So if we go to the next slide, I just wanted to cover real quickly, again, to remind you what this program is all about. So the program was formed 4 years ago. A bunch of stakeholders in the community essentially are working on your behalf, and they're listed there. Tremendous partners. You as an employer, organized labor, colleges, high school systems, et cetera, et cetera. So people who are interested in this program, essentially at a very high level, go through 3 steps. Number one, they enroll in the program. They say, yeah, I want to go work for an EAMA company. I want to go work in manufacturing. Once they enroll, we contact them and bring them down to a job center. Now we do it virtually given the pandemic, and we assess them. The topics of the assessment were provided by you. So you chose math and safety and spatial reasoning and a few other ones. And so we assess them, and if they pass, they go on to the 3rd step. If they don't pass, we work with adult education to see if we can remediate their skills. Because the 3rd step is the classes. We have training classes that QV and Three Rivers do basically around the year. And like they're in all the trades I mentioned before. And as I said earlier, it's often referred to as the EWIB program, the MPI. It's really not the EWIB program. It's more the EAMA and EWIB program, because we are very receptive to, hey, the welding class is 300 hours. I want to make it 400 hours. We'll make it 400 hours. The machining class, 210 hours, make it 250. We'll make it 250 hours. You tell us kind of how you'd like this program to be organized. And the idea you have the ability as EAMA to work with one voice can drive this program. And I'm just telling you, it's trying to be duplicated across the state. The program's going that well. So if we go to the next slide, I'll give you some results in the kind of the program to date and the last year. So if you focus on the column September 2020, I've given you 3 measures. How many people applied to be part of the program? How many training classes have we run? And how many job placements have we done? So when we started this 4 years ago, we thought we'd do roughly like a third of the numbers that are in that column September 2020. The program has been continued by funding from various federal, state, and private sources. And it's got funding in place for the foreseeable future, I'll say that. But if you look down that column, 9,800, the way I look at 9,828 applicants, that's how many people in the last 4 years have expressed they want to work for you, want to work in your industry. That's a lot. Again, when we first started this, I think we thought we'd get like maybe 1,500 people. We've done 73 classes to date. They're ongoing. We thought we'd do about 30. And the job placements, we placed 1,647 people in jobs. And many of you hopefully have benefited from that. If you haven't, never too late. You can contact us. But in the last year since we met, we showed you some of these numbers last year. So you see this more than 1,300 people signed up, 12 classes, 135 placements. even in spite of the pandemic, which basically shut down the classes from March through June. So March through July. So the program's going great. It's because your engagement is the center of the entire program. That's the key ingredient to the whole thing. And again, more than happy to entertain any changes you want to make to it going forward. But we obviously are going to keep rolling forward these classes. So next slide, we showed you, John Beauregard showed you something like this last year to say, this is just visually to show you October 2020, June 2021. These are the classes that are organized right now. The October, November, and maybe even December are pretty well nailed down. But if there's classes you want, January through June, we'll change things. It's up to you. Right now, these are placeholders in place. Like I said, we have Quinnebog Valley and Three Rivers. Three Rivers does their training at the MAC and Grasso Tech. And great partnership, everybody working on your behalf. The grid on the side shows you the classes that we're doing. We're going to do a plastics class that Mark Vesegai is going to talk about in a second. We're going to start that in early October. But this is not the EWIB schedule, this is the EAMA schedule. So you let us know. But we're going to roll through these classes and keep the people coming. And like I said earlier, with the long-term prognosis of electric boat and their supply chain, manufacturing is the place to be in the region. It's the biggest sector. It's the one that's growing the most. And we're going to keep people going through this process. So I think this is last year it looked like this. The program's been highly successful in churning out people that employers value. So the next initiative I want to talk about is we mentioned a year ago was scaling the program and how we did with it. So you may recall we spoke about this a year ago that the MPI was focused on adults, unemployed and underemployed, and training them for jobs in your businesses. Because there was so much success, we found that 80% of the people who were being placed had no manufacturing experience, yet the employers were telling us they were doing great in the job, and maybe because the steps they go through to be part of this program to show you they're committed, they were outperforming people they hired off the street. We thought, well, who else could benefit from a program like this? And so we did a pilot with NFA like 2 years ago now. And since then, all these schools here have contacted us. And I think the key thing for you to take away, well, first of all, we've gone from 5 schools to 15 schools in the last year, just showing you the demand for schools wanting their kids that aren't going to college to be trained in manufacturing and potentially work for you someday. And so this program has taken off. But the key takeaway for you is that the curriculum that we use in the adult program that we train people on, that curriculum, the core of it, has been given to the high schools, and they have across the board embedded that curriculum in their school. So if you go to Ram High School, use that as a start with, there's a manufacturing 101 or whatever they call it. It's a year-long program, 150 hours. There's kids signing up in that program, probably like 12 to 15 kids. Your curriculum being taught on. The teacher has been schooled in how to teach that particular curriculum. And we have people that work with the teachers in each of these schools. So the key concept in embedding this in the high schools is that hopefully this process, this will lend itself to long-term. They'll have these manufacturing programs in their high schools for a long, long time. And we've developed some philanthropic investment, very interested in this program, and now is interested in moving this across the state. But this has been a very successful scaling that we've done together. Again, started with an NFA pilot 2 years ago, went to 5 schools the next year. It's at 15 now. And the schools are very excited to help these students who heretofore haven't had much opportunity, not going to college, want to go into the workforce. Manufacturing is a place to be. They want to work for you. So it's another program that you can take advantage. If you haven't, not too late, you contact us. And there's some kids out there that I think are pretty good talent you want to take a look at. And so I'll stop there and let me swing it over as part of the scaling the program, talking about how we're moving into the plastics world. And Mark, if you can take it from here, and I'll come back and give a recap of what hopefully these people on the video have heard.
Perfect. And thanks for having me, everybody. Good to connect again with the EAMA gang. Similar to Mark Hill, I'm just going to give a super quick intro into what he mentioned, our off-site training center. It is the Manufacturing Apprenticeship Center located at Grasso Tech. Three Rivers was given a wing of it, and we still get to use the other shops at night. But the important thing to note, since EAMA is so diverse in their manufacturing disciplines is the MAC Center is a flexible factory. So we have equipment that can do all sorts of different types of training to support the robust diversity within our manufacturing sector in this region. And it can be literally reconfigured on demand. So it gives us a ton of agility to pivot, develop new curricula, and of course, offer new programming. So the first kind of group that spoke up, I'm guessing, Ray, correct me if I'm wrong, is about 9 months ago, was a collection of 8 or 9 plastics companies. And there used to be some credit programming in plastics, certificate and degree, but that since has gone away. So there was a need to get some sort of programming together to support this kind of burgeoning sector within our region. And why not adopt an offering within this very successful manufacturing pipeline model? So we gathered, we met, we crafted a curriculum standard, always essentially driven by what industry wanted. So it's literally down to the detail level of, what specific skill is wanted and how can it be measured. It's a true standards-based, competency-based model. Once that was together and essentially vetted by our partners, we got to work and we crafted the curriculum. And essentially we have this beautiful 7-week program. Just like all the other pipeline models, it's essentially full-time, 6.5 hours a day, 5 days a week for 7 weeks. We're also evolving and learning. So after 4 years of doing all of these different arrays of pipeline offerings, we are now modularizing it. So we know across all the various manufacturing enterprises, especially for the entry semi-skilled level, there's core foundational skills that everybody needs. So manufacturing math, blueprint, metrology, inspection, QC, benchwork layout. And that is essentially the foundation of this plastics offering. And then with the help of even some of industry's subject matter experts that we commissioned to help us, we crafted 60 hours of polymer science that gets into essentially all the details with plastics processing. But more importantly, we're able to apply that in the MAC, in that we procured injection molding tabletop units. We got extruders that we adapted to be both cold feed conveyor systems and hot feed. We actually had students in our milling stations, our machining center, cutting out cavities for molds. And most importantly, we would be able to run labs that would simulate production defects. And they would have to reverse engineer and troubleshoot, what's going on? How do I adjust this set point? Is the material right? Is the hold time correct? So it was super successful, well received. We ambitiously had a 3-week add-on that would have been a industrial scale training. The curriculum standards written and the industry partner was willing and able, but COVID kind of put that all on hold. So since then, we've kind of asked around, and these graduates, meaning the ones who have finished the 7-week, have already been absorbed into industry. We actually have only 2 left. One's got an interview this week, and there's a call for, let's get another 7-week program going, potentially in November. So it's a great example of responding to what industry wants, and it's even more important to know that this is a push-pull system. So industry tells us what I want. They say when they want the class to be put on, And then with that lead time, they're literally absorbing these new hires as they finish our program, successfully. So we're pretty excited to maybe make this a staple in our portfolio. The companies that we're working with regards to this in Eastern Connecticut are all booming, doing massive expansions and big growth projections with regards to hiring needs. So this is just one potential thing to noodle on as far as, what would your industry like, especially if you have some similar industry affiliations within EAMA or even outside. All it takes is a critical mass of need, some input to make sure the curriculum is what you need, as well as the requisite equipment at the MAC, and we're ready to go. What's kind of coming down the pike soon thereafter is we've been working for about 6 months now on a logistics planner, essentially, a planning function, supply chain management function, scheduler, all of those things. They're called different things depending on the company. This is one that EB has requested, and it's kind of interesting. It's the first time we're truly expanding our capabilities by tapping into something that's not traditionally, a hands-on manufacturing or equipment-based training program. So in this pilot that's getting developed now, have some accounting elements, some operations management elements, statistics, economics, technical writing, communications, public speaking. So we're pretty excited to see how this one's going to go. And again, it's just, they spoke first. They've got the call for hiring these folks when they're done, and they will be kind enough, as the other companies have been, to do a postmortem after this pilot's done and give us feedback to see, first and foremost, how are the new hires doing, and what can we do with regards to continuous improvement on the curriculum offering. So that's it in a nutshell. Pretty busy for being in COVID.
Great, Mark, thanks. So just to recap, people, especially if people are hearing some of this for the first time, so the question would be, how do you get engaged in this? I would encourage you, go to the next slide. I would encourage you to visit one of the classes. Again, the colleges do a great job. Quinebaug Valley, Three Rivers, they're running these classes continuously, great instructors. Just go visit them, see what they're teaching. Walk into a machining class or welding class, see if it meets your needs. If you're past that, if you already know about that and you say, geez, I would like to try to hire people in this program, call up EWIB, the contact name I gave you earlier. And essentially, we have, right now we have about 40 people because of the pandemic. We usually don't have this kind of a list of people. We have about 40 people that have gone through the steps. They enrolled, they passed their assessment with flying colors. They went through a skills training class, passed that, and they're ready to be employed. A year ago, pre-pandemic, we didn't have this kind of number of people. It's just kind of put the whole, you're in the front line of this, this better than I do. It's put the hiring to a little bit stalled out. So that's where, again, if you do it the next 3-4 months, we're going to put the wage reimbursement, by the way, just so I'm clear, is really for recognizing that even though we're training them as best we can, your company has different needs and you're going to have to train them as you onboard them. And so the training, the wage reimbursement essentially is to try to pay for the training that the on-the-job training that you have to do in-house for the candidates, even though they've been trained as much as the system can train them. But we have a list of candidates. Call us up and we'll put a slate of candidates together for your needs. You can interview them and it's up to you. If you want to continue to use job boards or whatever else you use to hire, that's fine. It's your call, but this is another option. A lot of employers, we've had over 200 employers who've hired from the program. So it's gaining popularity and just, encourage you to take a look at it. So I think that's what we had for today, Chris.
Great, thank you. Well, again, it looks like in the chat we've got some people who are interested in that. I can tell you, for those who are paying attention, that's really, it seems too good to be true, but I can tell you it's not. We actually have a few employees that are going through our program right now. I can tell you they're acclimating very quickly to our organization, and it truly is a try before you buy circumstance. So again, most people would be, if you have an opportunity, even at an entry level job shadowing opportunity, this is a good opportunity to get people in that have a basic level of skills in your organization. So please, again, reach out to Mark and his team. There's Tracy Tremblay from the Business Services team, Linda Rickier, who I believe is on this call from Business Services. There's Amanda from Mark's office. So there's a lot of contacts there. And again, that brochure that Mark put up that explained it, we can reissue that to the EAMA membership so everyone gets that yet again. So great, Mark. Well, thank you very much again. Save your questions for the end. What we'll do is we'll have all the speakers at the end stick around and answer questions that you may have. So the next person I would like to introduce is Nancy Kauser. So Nancy Kauser is the Executive Director from the Southeastern Connecticut Enterprise Region, also known as Sector. She's the Chair of the Greater Norwich Area Chamber of Commerce. Nancy has had a long 10-year work of work in nonprofits, as well as is well-versed in program development and community outreach. So Nancy, welcome. The floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Chris. Charlie, are you ready? Just want to make sure. Melinda and I have been texting back and forth. We really want to meet Charlie. So what is Sector and what is our role? We are the region's designated economic development organization. We were established as an economic development district in 2013. And that means that municipalities and organizations in our region can secure federal funding from the Economic Development Agency, the federal EDA. We coordinate and write and implement the region's comprehensive economic development strategy. And where that's important is it identifies what some of the top priorities are of the region over a 5-year period. And specifically, workforce development is the #1 priority. And partnering and working with the EWIB and EAMA are specifically listed as top priorities for us. And I'll show you in a little bit how that's unveiling. We provide a lot of service for municipalities under economic development and for projects that are important to municipalities. So we've been trying to help a housing project in Stonington find funding, for example, have purchased data products for a development going up in New London, like economic indicators and things like that. We do some site finding, we do regional marketing. So we do a lot under the economic development hat. That's very much an other duties as assigned type of a program. But what I think you're more interested in are the specific programs that we provide to small business. So if I could have the next slide. We do a lot of small business lending, and this lending is specifically for businesses that are not quite bank ready or for businesses whose project is not quite palatable for a bank. So for example, it could be a fairly new business whose working capital and cash flow may not be quite up there to where a traditional bank would be interested in them. Or it could be a project with multiple parts that a bank might be only interested in a piece of it. An example is we recently did a lending program for a marina, a local marina. A bank was interested in a small piece of it. So we put together 4 different lenders who all took a piece of the pie. We did some equipment and some working capital. Another bank did the real estate, things like that. And Sector kind of managed the whole project. It ended up being about $1.5 million. And we're able to put that package together for the business. It's a lot of partnership loans, and the key to this is that we provide ongoing technical assistance. So once the loan is closed, we continue working with the business to help any bumps in the road. At any given time, probably 20% of our loan pipeline is in some sort of a workout pattern. Maybe their supply chain is dried up and they need a few months of relief from payments in order to be able to catch up, or maybe they need to rework the terms, maybe they need more money. So we're constantly working with our borrowers. We leverage federal funding, and once those loans start repaying, we recapitalize the principal and lend it out again. So an example, Guard Arts Theater about 20 years ago was a $5 million loan that the state asked us to manage. That has since been recapitalized into 27 new business loans for a total of $20 million. So our money keeps on going back out on the street. And one of the things that we're very excited about, and this is in response to the EWIB and EAMA, we have applied to expand our lending territory into the Northeast, so that our lending territory will cover the Southeastern Council of Governments and the Northeast Council of Governments. And that's because we feel it's very important to align our services with where EAMA members are and where the EWIB is serving. So we hope to hear back in the next couple of weeks. Next slide, please. A brand new or not a new program, but a statewide program that many of you have taken advantage of is our Procurement Technical Assistance Center. Again, this is a statewide program, so any business in the state that wants to become a government contractor can come to us. We do have a counselor stationed right in Groton to cover the eastern part of the state. We are hoping to add another counselor specifically for the Northeast, again, in recognition of the EAMA and EWIB region. But our existing counselors can serve you. We identify contracting opportunities. We help with SAM registration. We help with the various small business certifications. We get you into a bid database so that you start seeing what bids are out there. We help you with your capability statements. We have tons of live webinars in this COVID environment. For example, right now we're doing a series that is introducing major primes to small businesses. We really are supporting the supply chain, and this service is completely free. We have a separate website for that. It's ctptac.org. There's a little button that says request counseling, and that's how you start. So it's really worth checking out for anyone who wants to become a government contractor, has let any of their certifications lapse, wants to get more information on bidding, anything that we can do to help, and cybersecurity. We're doing a lot of work around the cybersecurity requirements. So that's our PTAC program. Next. Next slide, please. There we go. One of our strategic initiatives, and I'm very fortunate to have Chris on our board and hopefully Mark on our board soon, was to bring services under one roof so that a business could come in and receive a breadth, like a wraparound of service to help them out. So this year in June, we executed a subcontract with the Small Business Development Center to be able to hire and place a business counselor in our Groton office, again, to serve our region, working hand in hand with Connecticut SBDC's staff. But she supports startups, expansions, helps with business planning and decision-making, helps find capital, does market research and industry trends, financial analysis, disaster disruption preparedness, the list goes on. And what's been really powerful is every Wednesday we have what we call a team huddle, and we kind of present our clients and say, geez, you know, this client is going for a loan, but maybe they could sell and, you know, reply to this bid. And, you know, maybe their business plan could be a little stronger so that their loan terms would be better. So we're really wrapping around services for our clients. And we're very, very pleased with that. That's going extremely well. Next slide. All right. We were very fortunate. I think several of you have mentioned that that people are busier than ever, and that's true for us too. We have received new resources for COVID recovery. We're going to have additional economic development support, a new full-time position to help support businesses and municipal partners and partner agencies like EAMA and EWIB with economic recovery activities. That could be anything from finding a state program for you, or helping with a grant application, or, you know, whatever is needed to help with recovery. We're going to do some regional marketing. We're going to do a prospectus for the region to help with the attractiveness for business. We know that Advanced CT at the state level does that, but we feel very strongly we need to take control of our own marketing as a region and tell our story. We're purchasing additional data products. So for your businesses, things that are of interest are like economic multiplier effects. You know, by virtue of me bringing or expanding my business and adding these number of jobs, this is the multiplier effect on the economy. And that kind of data can sometimes really help tell your story. I know that Mark uses it frequently with EWIB products. Of excitement for this group is we've received additional loan funding, another almost $2 million that has to be deployed within 24 months. So we're actively on the street with this funding. It's to support COVID recovery. So really most things fall under it. You know, what if you need to add a piece of equipment to be more resilient going forward? What if there's a new opportunity for you by virtue of COVID, but you need a little bit of funding to get this going? You know, what if there's an opportunity to buy somebody out by virtue of this funding? All of our loan funding is really tied to growth and job creation. So there's really a lot of ways that we can make deals work for you. Manufacturing happens to be our favorite type of loan. It's something that we're really excited about. We do a lot of manufacturing. Chris knows that. You know, anything in our region, again, we're applying to get into the Northeast. But if there's any kind of a lending need that you might have, call us. And if we're not the right person for you, we'll find the person who is. I'd say about 50% of our business is actually finding a better match for you. Unlike a bank, we're a community lender. So our goal is first and foremost to serve the community, and any funding we generate goes back into serving the community. So never worry about calling us with something you're not sure we do. You know, that's our job, is to find someone who will if we don't. Additional loan funding also will help us open up to new markets and industries we haven't traditionally funded. So, you know, we're looking really closely at aquaculture and farming and some of the new industries that are popping up and are actually doing really well right now because people want to know where their food is coming from. People want to buy closer to home. So there's really, you know, manufacturing is our sweet spot. $250,000 is our sweet spot. But we've done, you know, somebody who makes ties for the Big E and needs $10,000. And we've, you know, like I mentioned, have done a $1.5 million marina. So we're really open to hear anything that you might need. And we'll wrap our team around you to make sure that you have the strongest possible product for whatever you're going for. Next slide, please. All right, so that's it. I wanted to keep this short because I know the next presentation is really exciting and chock full of services for you. But here's our website, www.sector.org, email sector@sector.org, and phone is 860-437-4659. Please reach out if there's anything we can do for you. Our services are free. You know, our lending rates are really competitive. You know, PTAC and SBDC counseling, there's no cost associated with it. So we really, really want to be of service. EAMA is really firmly in our radar because we feel that supporting manufacturing in the supply chain is one of the most important things we can do for our region. So contact us if there's anything we can do for you. And that's it. That's all I had.
Great, thanks, Nancy. I can tell you, so prior to me joining the board, I think the camera's on. Am I off?
There you go.
Prior to me joining the board, I actually utilized Sector services when we did our brand new building. And I'll tell you what, they definitely think outside of the box. They are a great organization. And to hear that we're very close to being able to move to the north is just super exciting. I think that's a great opportunity for a lot of the businesses here in the north. So we're hoping that's going to happen, and we're hoping we'll hear about that soon. But again, Nancy, great job, and great job to your team and your organization. You guys do a great service for the region. So thank you.
Honored to be here. So thank you, and let us know what we can do to support you.
All right. Okay, moving on to our third presenter. So we have Ron Angelo, who is the president and CEO of the Connecticut Center for Advanced Technology, also known as CCAT. Ron has held leadership roles in state government as well as in public and private sectors involving project financing and business development. He previously served as the Deputy Commissioner of both the DECD, Department of Economic Development, and the Department of Consumer Protection. So Ron, we welcome you. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much. And, you know, this last 45 minutes or so, boy, have I gotten educated. Listening to Mark and their programs and what they're doing, and Nancy just now, it's extraordinary work. And I think your members hopefully will have like maybe a little bit renewed energy in some of the work that we're all doing. And really the common theme, and you'll hear this from me, is that, you know, we're all talking about being industry led now. The first thing I always try to say to folks is, as a leader of CCAT, I commit to you that I'm not going to spend $1 that doesn't have validation from industry, from the business community. So if we're not told to do something and we're not told to focus on something, we're not going to do it. So with the reverse, sometimes we come out with programs and say, here, we got something great for you, and you kind of scratch your head and figure out how to do it. Now we've done the reverse. So this has really been fantastic. So thank you. CCAT, we're in our 16th year, and you know, we're an applied technology center. So really what I'm going to be talking about is really about the technology side, leading technology, validation, and demonstration. But at the end of the day, what only matters at all, yeah, I'm sorry, Dominique, you play that video. The only thing that matters to CCAT, the only value that we create is what goes into the supply chain. Nothing we do internally really matters at the end unless it gets into practice. And this video is kind of neat because it's a very high-tech machine, but it's actually quite usable by many types of manufacturers. And it's showing that we now have the ability to demonstrate and show technologies where you can build parts additively and machine them at the same time, right within the same build area. So they're really kind of exciting things. So we'll go into the next slide, Dominique. And as we move into the next one, before I get into the programs, which I know everyone really is interested in these incredible programs to assist the supply chain, but I just threw this up there because not only are we all talking about Industry 4.0, and in many ways haven't even really launched it too much, we're already talking about Industry 5.0. And the 4 areas that just came up, those are the 4 areas of concentration that CCAT is going to be focusing on over the next couple of years. And as I move forward, you'll see how the programs line up. But the interesting thing about this is as we talk about traditional manufacturing, and now we start talking about Industry 4.0, the lines start getting very blurred amongst the technologies. And as we talk about education and training, where you used to have simple or more simple traditional manufacturing can start becoming very complicated. And we're talking about programming and coding and data analytics, and starting to look at populations of employment that usually were very much geared towards maybe financial service or healthcare. Well, the draw into manufacturing on the technology, the IT side, is going to be tremendous. And I know Chris talked about Ari Santiago and the work he does at IT Direct. And man, he's right in the thick of all this and has amazing capabilities to talk to companies about things they might need. So we're all kind of lined up about this, but I want to give you a bit of a vision, because what CCAT does is very much be looking out a little further and trying to assist companies in making sure that the word that we're hearing from the larger manufacturers, could be OEMs or tier ones, is that the supply chain is going to need to be capable in these things over the next few years. And our responsibility is to make sure that the supply chain gets capable and remains this very global competitive force. So Dominique, you can go to the next slide. So now we'll talk about, oh, I think you missed the CCAT programs. I don't know if we went one slide to, there should be CCAT program should come up next. I don't know why that slide's out of order. Okay, can you go one more? Maybe no. Okay, Dominique, do you see the program? There should be the CCAT program slide. Unfortunately, on what I'm viewing has that slide next. Because that's really the one we're going to go through the programs. No. Okay, why don't you head back?
Hold on 1 second. We're trying to find it here. Hold on.
Yeah, it's a CCAT program slide. It was. I'm looking at the deck right now, and I'm not. I don't want to jump ahead at some of this stuff.
No, that we don't have that in our queue here.
Yeah, just stay right on Industry 4.0. The slide, it's a program slide. I don't know why it's not in order here, but the real meat of this presentation is to let the EAMA membership know about the various programs. And the reason I have this up again, because it lines up very well with these. Many of you are familiar with the manufacturing voucher program. So we'll just touch on that one first. That program is being populated with an additional $5 million. It will be activated in October. We can actually start taking applications online. The previous guidance were if you went to the manufacturing voucher program once, you could not go back again. That has changed, and manufacturers will be able to go back in. So if you're looking to make any sort of upgrades, capital equipment purchases, things like that, that program is going to be available again. So it's a large sum of money, and we want to make sure that, again, it gets out of CCAT and gets out into the supply chain. Now, the interesting thing with some of these programs is we also did 2 new programs. If you look at the lower left part of the screen, you see additive manufacturing. We have a large manufacturing program around that. It's a $5 million program. And there's a large sum of money for that. That is actually a voucher program of sorts as well. So in addition to the manufacturing voucher program, we have the additive voucher program. So companies that are looking to invest in or considering investing in additive manufacturing equipment, it could be something advanced, or it could be something as simple as getting an introduction into additive by buying a polymer machine and working on tooling and fixturing and design. That voucher program is there as well. And we want to make sure companies that are looking at these kind of leading edge technologies, where they want to advance their company's capabilities, understand that we have some assistance in that area as well. This is a 3-year program. It was sponsored by the Manufacturing Innovation Fund. Kelly was, of course, is a big part of that. So we thank her a lot for her initiative, and of course, Colin Cooper. And it is a huge effort, again, to do a lot of workshops, a lot of demonstrations, a lot of direct training with companies, so they're able to get on, and I think we just switched off of something here, but they're able to take full advantage of these technologies. The next program that we have, also in line with the voucher program, is the Industry 4.0 program. This is another, oh, there we go.
We got it.
This is
there you go, we found it.
This is another very significant program for companies that, again, there's a lot of training, a lot of demonstrations, a lot of workshops, but also a voucher program. So you've got a grant component. In all of these programs, a manufacturing company can take advantage of. If you've taken advantage of one, you can take advantage of the others as well. So companies looking at Industry 4.0, it could be automation, it could be machine connectivity, it could be software, hardware, things that you want to do to make your shop floor more efficient, begin censoring and collecting data and working more on the data analytics side. These are things that are going to be very, very important to the tier 1s and the OEMs that we are talking about. This is the program that can help companies get into this and get trained up and build up some capabilities with this. A big component of this also is called model-based definition. This is where companies are going to start utilizing 3D CAD file design. No more paper files anymore, no more drawings. Everything is done in 3D. And from that program, if you went down to the bottom, we'll just skip down for a minute, you see this Defense Communities Grant. This was just put out by the governor. He just announced that Connecticut was awarded this. A big part of this grant, as you can see, is model-based definition, model-based enterprise, where companies are now becoming much more digitally proficient and able to speak with the OEMs and the tier 1s in a much more clear way. And again, working on the advanced design of parts in 3D CAD models. So we are front and center on this. These programs are just being launched. We have great experienced professionals on this, both within CCAT and external partners of ours that we'll be working with to bring this to the community. And again, this is not just aerospace. This is not defense related. You can be in shipbuilding, rotorcraft, you could be in automotive, you could be in medical device, you could be in consumer products. We want to make sure that the entire manufacturing community in Connecticut knows that these are available. So you can go on the website and start picking up these type of programs. And of course, we're happy to either come directly out to the companies or talk to you more about these in depth. But you've got some great programs on technologies that we know are coming, and we want to make sure, again, that supply chain companies are ready to go. The next two programs below Industry 4.0, these are the most recent workforce development programs, either around upskilling, incumbent worker training, or the rehiring. Now, Mark talked about a great program where there is wage subsidies and a whole lot of great work going on there. This Rev Up program is a CARES Act program. It has wage subsidies around it. It also has transportation subsidies, childcare subsidies, even a small stipend for employees that need things like steel-toed shoes or things that they might need on the manufacturing floor. This program is designed for those individuals who may have been furloughed or may have been unemployed, and they don't have to be from your particular business. It could be somebody you're bringing back, or it could be someone that you are simply taking out of the workforce that's been displaced. It could also be an individual that came from an industry that maybe isn't on the uprise, is going to be really challenged going forward, and we want to bring them into a high growth area like manufacturing. So that Rev Up program under the CARES Act came out of the Governor's Workforce Council. I am very intrigued by what Mark said, because maybe there's a way to work and leverage these programs. Even with the other ones, the programs that Nancy talked about, we can leverage these against, maybe there's some bank financing and program financing, and now you can bring some grant funding into it. Or you've got some great programs coming out of the EWIB that Mark is working on that we can now help dovetail in. At the end of the day, it's about getting these funds and these programs out there. So the 180 skills, again, came out of the Governor's Workforce Council. CCAT has been tasked with handling the 180 skills training specifically for incumbent worker training. So there's a whole host of 180 skills initiatives going on around the state. We are working on that, again, for those that you've got within your workforce that you want to train up. I don't want to say too much because we're going to have some additional slides on that. So I kind of touched on these. I was told not to go too much into the weeds, and then we could follow up with detailed conversations or other types of presentations after. But that's a general overview of some of the more impactful programs that we have. And I don't mind telling you, when you look at these programs, there's well in excess of $12 million in programs. This money is not CCAT's money. This is your money. This needs to go out to the manufacturers. It's not for us to simply have in our account. We need to get this out into the hands of the manufacturers. So it's so important to be addressing you in this way tonight. So thank you. So Dominique, we can go to the next slide. I wanted to give you one kind of interesting example of some of the things that CCAT is really trying to do. This is an initiative that, when you look at CCAT sitting in Connecticut, the Air Force reached out to CCAT, and we have a 3-year contract with the Air Force to further develop the supply chain around small turbine engines. It is a little bit of an oddity here, but we have some tremendous opportunity here in the state. We're looking at engines that are roughly about 24 inches long, about 60 pounds, and are less than 2,000 pounds of thrust. They are primarily used in missiles and drones. The Air Force is looking for current advanced manufacturers that have capabilities, but they also are looking for manufacturers that are not doing this type of work that can get introduced into this particular type of program, and therefore increasing the supply chain numbers. We are working with the 7 large OEMs that make these engines for the military. CCAT has not been tasked for this just in Connecticut. We are responsible for the entire United States. So we have to be developing this supply chain around the US. I want to begin here in Connecticut, obviously. So I'd love to be able to talk to companies that may have an interest in looking at this type of work. How could they fit in? How could they make some of the parts that you see on here? And you would reach out to Tom Maloney directly. You see his address there, of course, me, and I would get you in the right direction. But one of the key things that I'm focused on as I lead CCAT is I want to bring not just funding here to the state, programmatic funding that's important. I want to bring business opportunities. I want to bring things that actually result in revenues. I want our supply chain to be able to get on contracts with, it could be the Air Force or it could be the OEM making this engine. I want to be developing things that actually are meaningful from a revenue standpoint. So that's something that we're going to be concentrating hard on going forward. So Dominique, we can go to the next slide. Dominique, can you, oh, there you go. Okay. Sorry about this. So now I just want to get more into the programmatic side, and of course, happy to answer some questions after. This is kind of where CCAT sits. This is our landscape of our programs. We go deep down into the middle school. We used to go much earlier than that, but we're shifting a bit away. And of course, some of the parameters around COVID have changed the way we do things, but you'll see on here, this is kind of our pathway all the way from inspiring youth through, it used to be the Dream It, Do It program. Now we're going to be referring to it more as probably Creators Wanted or something different as that program has evolved. You see we have virtual manufacturing fairs. We have girls in manufacturing programs. Those actually dovetail nicely with two opportunities. One is a grant from Deloitte and another one is from the Department of Education, specifically around inspiring young girls and young women into the manufacturing and technology fields. And we move that right through. Now you see, as we move off to the right though, nothing that we do is going to be successful without partnerships and collaborations. CCAT has to get much better than that. And I think we're trying hard to move in that direction. I'll continue to explain some of that as we go along, but being on these type of forums and being on with some of the others that you heard previous to me, it is so vital that we talk more and we actually say, hey, this is what I've got, this is what you're doing. And maybe we can leverage that further and provide even more of a value added while we address our programs. And that's what I'm hoping for more, because I just know our success is so intricately tied to these expanded collaborations that we've gotten. Chris had mentioned the Connecticut, the Manufacturing Consortium and others, and those are all things we're working hard to integrate ourselves with. Go to the next slide, Dominique. So the Rev Up, I talked briefly about Rev Up and the 180 skills. This will give you just a brief overview, but this program, I do want to tell you that this and a couple other programs that CCAT is involved with, I give so much of the credit to what we're doing to Department of Labor and their efforts and their team. We work so hand in hand. And Todd Birch, as maybe many of you know him on this line, he's probably one of the biggest champions of the manufacturing sector and probably one of the most knowledgeable out there as well. And I know is working so hard in many of these programs that you'll see. Todd's had his fingerprints on it one way or another early on and through the Governor's Workforce Council. So many of these are being brought to you with, again, a great collaboration on a multiple fronts. So again, as I talked about, you have the wage subsidies, the free training, that's on the job training, on demand, online, very customized. And then you've got the employee support. So that was the Rev Up program that I referred to on the previous program slide. Dominique, we can go to the next one. And this gives you a little bit more information on the 180 skills. It tells you where the website can go. It's about rethinking, re-engaging your current workforce. The beauty of this program is, again, it's free, but it's got 700 modules associated with this. My team at CCAT can come and work with your company specifically to customize all different types of training. And it can go as deep as OSHA requirements and quality and inspection, to something where maybe you need some members on your team to become more proficient in Microsoft Office or Excel. These are all here. A company can be assigned a number of different licenses. They're good for a year, and the company can just train nonstop. And the individuals can train at their availability. They can do it on some free time. They can do it in the evening. They can do it whenever they want. And there's also been work on the community college side to look at some of these and integrate them into some of the certification programs. Again, Kelly's been a force behind this in really creating that pathway. So we just don't start with this. but we end with something of higher value. Very important and something that we hope you'll look into. CCAT, again, the team would be happy to get on a meeting with you and literally walk through and have the company fully set up and ready to go within an hour. So we urge you to look into this more. It's all on our website. And we would certainly be happy to, again, get you guys online. So as I move a little further into the presentation, I did want to start getting more into the technology side. There are so many incredible programs being done on education and workforce. And really CCAT's lead is on the technology side. So Dominique, if you can switch that slide. And we have I don't know if I hope the video will play, but we actually have a virtual tour that we set up. So I wanted to give you at least a little bit of idea of what we've got here. This is kind of the entrance. You have a little entrance to CCAT. It's a very industrial space. This is in East Hartford, and we kind of quickly go down the hallway. It's a